Brand new in our politics lead, Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is getting into the Texas Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate with the help of President Trump. Well, here's her new campaign launch video.
She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
The news comes after former Congressman Colin Allred dropped out of the race this morning. My panel's here to discuss. Karen, what do you think of that launch video?
I love it. Good for her. It's different, right? I mean, in this media environment, you got to break through, and that's one way to break through. And she clearly understands, at least to start in a primary, right? You got to raise money. And how do you raise money? You raise money by saying, this is the guy that we're gonna be fighting against, right? So I thought it was great. I love it.
And
she looks gorgeous, by the way.
Here's what former Congressman Allred, former NFL player, told CNN's Dana Bash earlier today about his decision to withdraw his bid for Senate and run for a House seat instead. Take a listen.
Jasmine Crockett is very openly considering running. Is that part of why you decided to not run anymore?
Yeah, of course it is. And I think, listen, Jasmine's a friend of mine, and we've served together. I've known her since before we were both, in elected office. But it was about the fact that with, three strong candidates running, that we would certainly have a runoff.
So this does leave the Democratic primary field open right now, pretty much between State Representative James Tallarico, who we had on the show last week, and now Congresswoman Crockett. Who do you think will be the stronger Democrat to take on the Republican? And it's not just a throwaway because it's Texas, because it does look like the Republicans in Texas are not going to stick with their incumbent Senator John Cornyn, and they're going to go with a guy who's got a lot more baggage.
It's probably going to be Ken Paxton. I'd be surprised if Cornyn figured out a way to pull it out. The hat out of the bag, as they say. But I was talking to someone who's close to the Congresswoman, and they made two interesting points to me. If it is Kim Paxton, they personally believe that Jasmine Crockett, according to some early internal data, would be a more superior candidate than Tallarico. Two, Texas has the largest number of black voters of any southern state, which I actually did not know. I was just made aware of this. Yeah. And so they're looking at those dynamics and they're saying, hey, we think we could have a competitive opportunity to potentially win the state. Now, as a conservative, I am a bit worried about Paxton. I think we should stick with Cornyn. That would be in our best interest. But it doesn't appear to be what Texas voters want, Jake. And so if that's the decision that they choose, it's going to be a tough race ahead.
Well, let's talk about that. The polls on the Republican side, recent polls show the incumbent Senator John Cornyn. He's running behind Attorney General Paxton and Congressman Wesley Hunt, who's something of a conservative firebrand as well. How do you see all the math on this? I mean, there is an argument to be made that maybe Democrats should go with a more centrist candidate if the seat is actually up for grabs. I'm not saying I'm making it.
No, agreed. And look, that is going to be what you hear from, I would argue, probably the party committees, right? Because they like to play it safe. But here's the thing about someone like a Jasmine Crockett. Number one, she is going to excite new voters and potentially, depending upon how they're thinking about the race, take a look at the state and say, how do I get those black voters who aren't voting, who aren't registered? Let's get them registered. Let's get them engaged. Let's do the same thing with Latino voters. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, it feels like, I mean, to say Ken Paxton has baggage is a very generous way to say it, right? And so the Republican side is going to have a conversation about, well, which do we want? What do we want to defend? The status quo, the baggage? What are we doing here? And particularly in an era where, let's be clear, Republicans are going to have a tough year next year. The economy is not necessarily going to get better. Inflation is still high. The cost that people are spending right now at Christmas time, running up their credit card debt, is going to hit them next year. So it's going to be a tough year for Republicans.
So, Michael, what is the problem with Cornyn? He's a very conservative Republican. He's an establishment figure by now. Why is the MAGA base against him?
I think that Paxton, for a lot of MAGA voters in Texas, appear more closely aligned with President Trump in terms of his rhetoric. But I will add, even individuals like Chris LaCivita, co-campaign chair or co-campaign manager of the president's recent presidential campaign, he's even been on X talking pretty relentlessly about the need for Republicans to support Cornyn over Paxton and over the congressman. I mean, I think he's even said a couple weeks ago the congressman should just get out of the race all together. Wesley Hunt.
Yeah.
And so it shows you that even those close to the president recognize the importance of this seat. They don't want to give Paxton the opportunity to lose the seat to someone like Jasmine Crockett. And I know there's a lot that one could say about the Congresswoman on my side, but I do not underestimate her at all. I think she is very articulate in terms of her political skills, and her ability to mobilize voters, black and Hispanics, is something that as a Republican strategist, I am watching.
Where are Democrats on whether they have any shot? I mean, the pipe dream of turning Texas blue or winning a statewide federal office out of Texas for Democrats, it's repeated and frequently fails. We'll let Mo walk into this.
Yeah, he can do the history, but it's been like 3 decades since they won a statewide race in Texas, a Senate seat in Texas. This does seem like a prime opportunity. The Republican side is messy. Jasmine Crockett has high name recognition. She also has a lot of remarks that Republicans are excited to use against her. Cornyn, earlier when she was talking about it, Senator Cornyn was already goading her to get in, saying, "Run, Jasmine, run." So I think she's divisive. They want to paint her as like too far left. She kind of really popped on the national stage when she did that dad-built bleach blonde.
Well, yeah, we can watch that. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that moment, just because it helps explain, especially in kind of our celebrity political culture, part of why Jasmine Crockett has stood out on the stage. Here is the confrontation between her and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing. Hold on. I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
That was a great moment in last year's Congress. Look, she went viral after that. Biden, I remember, sent out a fundraising email with like BBBB as the subject line. They used her after the debate in the spin room. So that kind of launched her on the national stage. But there is a lot of comments that she has made about immigration that are just going to be easy to pound her with. I actually was surprised that she's strong enough that Colin Allred gets out because she gets in. That actually caught me by surprise today. I thought, I didn't see that was an obvious, she wipes him out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I found it interesting she was willing to admit to me that she was out in the field with an internal poll, and she basically said, look, if this poll comes back in my favor, I'm going to run, and if it doesn't, I won't, which is actually how these decisions get made, but people rarely say it in public. I mean, Mo, what do you think her chances are?
I don't know. First, she's got to Allred's out, but she still has a competitive primary here, right? James Tallarico, state legislator, is still in this race. He's been building a real strong grassroots movement. When everyone thought it was going to be Allred versus Tallow, that's what they were touting, was his grassroots fundraising, his grassroots organizing. She certainly brings quite a bit to the race, too. So I think the Democratic primary, if you're just a student of politics, is still going to be a really fascinating primary to watch. And the Republicans are a mess. I mean, John Cornyn is no shoo-in for renomination with sort of MAGA favorite Ken Paxton
and it's
running.
worth kind of running through for viewers who are not in the weeds with the rest of us, right? We can put up who's running in these primaries. The Republican primary, Senator John Cornyn, long-standing member of Senate leadership. Okay, he's been around Washington a long time. He's done a lot of legislation, including working with Chris Murphy and other Democrats on a gun-related package that in some ways opened him up to challenges from the right. The Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, is that right-wing challenge. Now, Paxton, Doug High, has a heck of a lot of baggage because he, of course, was the subject of investigation, criminal investigation. And there are a lot of Republicans in Texas who don't want him to run, but he's doing it anyway, right? So that's the backdrop against which Democrats think, well, maybe we have a shot here.
Yeah, we often hear, don't mess with Texas. The reality is Texas is a mess. And it's a mess in both parties.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
You can't mess with Texas because it's already messed up.
And it's a mess on both sides. I mean, you've just outlaid there. I follow John Cornyn on Twitter, and he talks about Crooked Ken almost every 10 minutes. There's a lot of baggage on that side, but it is still Texas. It is still a Republican state. And if we go down to 2nd Street Northeast, where the Republican Senatorial Committee is, They are very happy that Jasmine Crockett has gotten into this race, that she somehow chased out the candidate that they feared the most, Colin Allred. Tells us a lot about where the Democratic Party is, but they feel in a much better position, Republicans do today, like right now, than they did, say, 6 hours ago.
I think that these primaries are, look, Maine and Texas, Susan Collins, John Cornyn, if there was a time to beat them, for Democrats to beat them, it is this cycle. And their own primaries are becoming very messy, and it's no sure thing. And I just think that it speaks to the dysfunction of both parties, that if there was ever a time to get these 2 Senate seats, it's this year, and it doesn't look like it's on the track to happen.
Been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.